Namaste and welcome to the second season of Future Fit Corporates. My name is Bhavana Issar and I'm the founder CEO of Caregiver Saathi. In this season, we are going global and shifting the narrative. Caregiving is not a career obstacle or something that organizations must accommodate. It's a leadership accelerator. And through candid conversations with corporate leaders, consultants, and change makers, we explore how caregiving shapes resilience, empathy, and innovation. Let's discover what it truly takes to build workplaces that don't just include caregivers, but recognize that caregiving experience is an asset. Because the future of work is not just tech, female, or inclusive, it's compassionate, it's innovative, and therefore caregiver friendly. Welcome to Future Fit Corporates. Hi, Charmaine.
Hello, Bhavna. How are you?
I'm very well. I have been looking forward to this conversation, and I'm delighted to invite you to yet another conversation on Future Fit Corporates. I have known you for a few years now, and I would like to introduce you as the person who helped me release my inhibitions of being online. I remember the first session of Each One Hold One, and we were to go live on Facebook. And I was so nervous. And you said, we don't have to, but it'll be nice if you will. But if you're uncomfortable, and let me tell you, today I have at least 150 videos online.
I am so proud of you.
Look at what you've unleashed.
Oh, Bhavna, you were incredible that day. You landed such insightful messages. And you're a feisty woman, so I wasn't sure why you were afraid of camera. But thank you. Thank you for that share. I really appreciate it.
And
Bhavna.
um, I have to say that I am not just that experience, but I've just been very inspired by your energy, and I'm very glad to have this conversation with you. Also, because you represent a part of the world that we've not had on this podcast so far, and to tell our listeners and viewers. Charmaine specializes in bridging the wealth gap through impactful training and coaching that empowers aspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals with the essential skills, knowledge, and mindset to achieve financial success and freedom. As a passionate coach, trainer, entrepreneur, and most importantly, social justice advocate, Charmaine understands the profound impact of financial inequality on communities and lives. Um, we need many more people like you, not just in what you do, but just your sheer powerful energy. Charmaine has served on the board of Financial Sector Charter Council Board, the Savings Institute of South Africa, the inaugural board of Ombud Council appointed by the Finance Minister. Um, all that is on LinkedIn. I'd like for you to tell me and our viewers, who are you?
Oh, Bhavna, thank you so much. It's an absolute joy to be in your energy. I'm just curious as to why you invited me. Um, but but we'll have that conversation another day. I'm grateful to be the first South African to be on your podcast because I know the amazing work that you actually do. I'm just a human being that wants to make the world a kinder, better, lovable place where we all can actually give love and experience love. And I think that's one of the human needs. So whatever I do is focused on how can I make lives better and easier. So that's largely what I actually do. So in my blanket profile, if you want to call it that, is a change activist. Wherever I go, I want to make meaningful change and have a positive impact. That's
Well,
basically me in a nutshell.
that should partly answer why you are on this podcast or this conversation, because this is also on YouTube. And I am so delighted, and I'd like to acknowledge the fact that I got to know you through Kubeshni, a common friend. And I'm hoping that she will agree to be on this platform as well. It is great to be in the company of smart, intelligent, emotionally intelligent women, and who are very determined to raise the voice of those who are unable to bring their voices in.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, you were, in a very beautiful way, instrumental in helping me find my expression. And I have loved your energy in each one, hold one, the initiative that you took during COVID that we joined hands for. And I think that you have a very interesting way of looking at things. It always enriches me, and I'm sure this conversation will be valuable for many of us who will listen to this. That's why you're here.
Oh, thank you for your kindness always, Bhavna. I appreciate that.
Okay. So, the conversation today is about corporates and workplaces, and we believe that the workplaces are changing. And workplaces are changing in that increasingly more and more different types of individuals are joining the workplace. There isn't this one way in which we have, employees and colleagues and partners and stakeholders. And as the nature of the workforce shifts, workplaces need to be different, and workplaces continuously need growth, innovation, and stuff. So I would like for you to take us through your corporate experience and having seen organizations or been a manager of team members or a colleague, what have been some of your observations about the challenges that the workforce has in a typical corporate workplace as you have seen it?
Sure. Bhavna, I've been on different levels in from corporate. So have a corporate background that spans over 30 years, actually. Right now, I'm an independent that serves as a non-executive in a couple of meaningful boards. So, and there's a reason why each one hold one was actually founded, but maybe my journey will actually give you some insights as to why we do what we do and how we actually have impact from a caregiver perspective. In my early career stages, there was absolutely no support. If you had to take time off to look after aging parents or kids or anything of that sort. And in my country, there isn't any legislative support either, where there's policies in place to go, okay, if you're taking care of parents or aging or sick people, whatever, this is the benefits that you can actually have. And that was in the early stages. And it was difficult, especially when you're young, trying to build your career, no support. And, the dynamics of South Africa, um, with apartheid, with different levels of treatment. Um, there's a tendency for you to show up differently and work flipping hard in order to get up. The point I'm actually making, people were treated differently in the early stages, right? And through those learnings, as you go advance in your career, you got to realize as to how important to be a compassionate, passionate, caring leader and create scenarios where when people need help, you are there to actually provide the support, help, a listening ear, and also be able to do what you can to change the narrative, whether it is from a policy perspective, a legislative perspective, or just being there. And therefore, I'm such an advocate for social justice, but also an advocate to be able to pour more love into the world because, Bhavna, as a caregiver, it's a thankless job. And sometimes it's a lonely place to be. And it there's so much stresses related to that, not just the the stresses relating to the fact that you have to give physical help, the stresses of financial help, the stresses of not being able to have a conversation with your employer to ask for help in order to do what you need to do. Some people are not very sympathetic. So those, having observed all of that, having been part of all of that, kind of landed in a place where now, when I sit on some of these boards or have the opportunity to actually raise my voice and share, I am the advocate. Go, okay, we need better policies, we need better support, and these are the rationales for it. So I also serve in South Africa, in terms of the King Report, we have to have certain committees. One is the Social and Ethics Committee, and one of the boards I actually chair that, where we've changed the narrative, flexible work, even loans actually, without interest, because sometimes caregiving requires financial assistance.
Yes.
And here there's a lot of medical aid is expensive. Yes,
Yes.
we have governmental hospitals,
Yeah.
but the service in those hospitals are not great.
Correct.
And just, sorry, you want to interject and ask,
No, I'm saying it's very similar to what it is in India.
or is it? Okay.
Yes.
Like we have doctors, qualified doctors that
Mm,
don't have jobs, but they are needed in the hospitals as and I'm not talking down our government, they do not have the capacity or the financial resources to be able to employ
mm,
these doctors. And people
yes.
stand in queues.
Yeah.
And imagine, I mean, my parents are 80 years old, they live in a different city, 700 kilometers from where I am. Luckily, they have medical aid, but my
Mm,
family and cousins and things have to go like 3 o'clock in the morning to stand in the queue to be able to get to see the doctor maybe 1 or 2 o'clock that afternoon if they're lucky. So
wow.
that's the situation we are
Mm,
faced with.
mm,
Um, yeah.
mm.
So from a corporate perspective, there's certain policies in place. There's certain currently it's called employee assistance programs, where some corporates allow for psychologists, social workers,
Yes.
counselors telephonically. So they get like, some of them get 6 sessions, and depending if they need more, they're more open to it. So things have transformed quite drastically, but it's out of individual or voluntarily. It's not dictated by law.
Ah, it's because organizations or corporates want to be, providing employee welfare or support of some kind,
Yes.
and organizations. Do you think it's more of the multinationals or it is more of the domestic firms? How does that vary across, and how does it vary across smaller and larger
It's
organizations?
largely the bigger companies.
Mhm,
It's multinationals as well as local South
mhm,
Africans. I served on a board of the Business and Arts South Africa. I chaired that board, and
mhm,
it was a small organization, and we had
mhm,
um, access to that level of support. So it depends on who's leading, who's in the
mhm,
executive team, and who's committed enough to
mhm.
ensure that the environment supports their employees, because they're important, right? And we should provide that level of support, and we should budget for that. But not everybody has heart that leads, Bhavna.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the challenge we face.
For sure. And I think sometimes that you can tend to be short-term oriented or very, transactional and cash oriented, and therefore, it becomes difficult to invest in some of these things. Thank you for giving us a little bit of of an overview. But if you were to look at your career trajectory, can you think of incidents or anecdotes when you would look back and say, um, today I see them as caregiving moments that I wish they were different.
Oh, absolutely. My son was born asthmatic,
Mm.
um, and having an asthmatic child, um, yeah, he was constantly in hospital and needed attention. And unfortunately, my managers were not very, very, very supportive of that, you know.
Mhm.
And I wish, yeah. But you know what? All of that actually helps you be a better human being. And
We'll get to that, but I want you to not ride over it.
okay, cool. Thank you, Bhavna. Yeah, it was that. There was a time when I mean, I have, as you said, old parents. As I said, in the 80s, my father's a heart patient, and he had a quadruple bypass, and I had to travel. Yeah, and it was, even though I've taken leave to go travel and all of those things, but there was work that needed to be done, and I needed to be here. So even my my colleagues were not very happy with the fact that I had to be away for a week. It was things like that. It kind of puts you in a bit of a guilt trip because you want to be there and you have to be here, so you don't want to let down your colleagues. So all of that has an impact on your mental health, because you feel you're letting your teams down. It's a strange dynamic to be in, Bhavna, and I've been there. I mean, a friend of mine was supporting her mom through cancer, and she's passed, yeah, a few years back. And I remember having conversations with Elaine, where it was so tough because a few years back, there was very little support or care or empathy. And she was in an executive role as well. So it's not just it's people in all levels are still trying to find their space where they can actually be supportive caregivers and not be reprimanded or seen to be not being part of the team or seen to be not
Yeah.
pulling their weight, but in actual fact, you're doing it. It's
Yeah.
the way perceptions are held about, especially us women, unfortunately.
Mm.
Um, I think men can get away with it. Not I think, I've seen men get away with it. There's no level of real caregiving, but it's easier for them. Oh, I need to sort out this.
Mm.
Uh, Maybe the driver, but yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, say a
Have I
little more.
made my
I don't
point?
know
I'm
what you're saying.
sorry.
No, no, I want you to say a little more. I don't know what you're saying. So I'll tell you, those of us who have the life experience of having gone through a difficult time
Hmm.
reach a point where we are able to look back at it and see it as something that gave us something positive,
Yeah,
right? But that doesn't take away the fact that it is painful.
you hit it on the
And
nail, actually.
it doesn't take away the fact that it may be repeated again. So you may have looked at it in a positive light today, but there are still many, many young women with probably children who have special needs or who have older parents and they are torn that could learn or that could feel not alone if you described your experience a little more.
Okay, sure. Um, so talking so you want me to go into the actual detail with my dad actually having his heart attack? So I spent the weekend with him actually because it was Carvedy. And do you know what Carvedy is? It's a
No, tell
religious
me.
it's a religious ceremony that's actually hosted once a year where people carry as it's a spiritual Hindu thing. The garlands
Really?
that are put on,
Okay.
it's called Kavati here. And so we, as a family, on an annual basis, provide food at the temple. So we
Okay.
had the Kavati, and then I flew up that Monday, and I got up, and then I just flew up, and there was a message that my dad um, was sick, and he was in hospital. So I just had the weekend with them, flew up to Johannesburg. Dad was sick. but went directly to work and go, I have to fly and go back because my dad's unwell and he's in hospital.
Mm.
Monday morning meeting, it was like, but you just came back. We have this project. You're part of it. We've agreed it, and it was like, well, my dad had a heart attack. I need to
Mm.
be there for my dad. And trying to
Yep.
explain this. And this was a few years back. And those days, I was the only non-white woman in that room. So you can get a sense.
Adds
Um,
to the
it,
complexity. Let's just say that.
it does, actually. It does. And it was like, no, whatever, we have this deadline, have to. I was like, I need to go. And I left. But with
Hmm.
the back of my mind, it was, I'm going to my dad, picked up my brother because he was also at work, and we got to the airport, bought a ticket, and went down. Back of my mind, Bhavna, am I going to have a job when I go back? What is the
Hmm.
situation? So all of
Yeah.
those things are running through your head. But I knew what my priority, and thank God I'm courageous enough to not conform and not go yes. And I learned
Hmm.
that from a young age. Had it been somebody else, they probably would have, if I had a different personality, I would have stayed. If something happened to my dad, I would have been on this guilt trip for the rest of my life. Do you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So it was my family, work, family first, got to go. And that was the situation that I did. And I had no regrets.
Yeah.
I was there for a week till the next weekend, and I came back. I got back to work, went and had a conversation with my manager. They were not very supportive, but there was nothing they could do about it.
Hmm.
Do you understand
Yeah.
where I am?
Yeah.
But no, and that's when I realized I am literally on my own when it comes to the corporate environment. And therefore, I was so conscientious in building myself to the extent that I exited when I needed to
And this is
for that
exactly
freedom.
And this is exactly the challenge that I have found many caregivers, many women have, which is that on one hand, you could have the pressure of being redundant to an organization, um, be the first one who brings in a certain voice,
Yeah,
right? Because up until now, there have been men in the workforce who've had family members who can step in for them. The life of a woman, working woman, is very different.
absolutely.
So, so to be the first one to bring in a different voice, to bring in a policy change, to bring in a different way of doing things, can be quite difficult, and
It's lonely.
it's lonely for
It's
sure.
lonely. And you
And I,
misunderstood.
and you feel misunderstood, and so you have a lot of self-doubt because you
Absolutely.
wonder whether, what you're doing is right. Your gut says probably it is right, but it could go terribly wrong. You could have lost your job, and so on and so forth. Of course, it would have been their loss, totally. But then, you know, uh, I mean, it's a real anxiety that anybody would have. As a manager, what I'd like for you to look back on your life experience and say that, what are some of the, when you had team members, and did you have challenges or situations where some of them may have had caregiving responsibilities, and how did that show up at the workplace? What did that put you, what kind of situations?
Sure. I mean, there has been a few situations where people had caregiving responsibilities also. So what you find is most people in my generation leave Natal, KwaZulu Natal. So that's where the ships from India, when we came to work the land, landed. So
Hmm.
most of the Indian people live in KwaZulu Natal, and the job opportunities in those days were not the greatest. Then you'd find us migrating up to Johannesburg. So we're here, we
Mm.
build our life, we build our careers, but most of our family is based about 600 kilometers away.
Right.
So, so you'd often find people are working up here and they have responsibilities in terms of family and things of that. So in my team, there were many people that had to take time off and leave. And then, so I had to be sympathetic. But what we
Mm,
used to do is, okay, you have to go, understand. These are the responsibilities. I'm going to reassign it to X, Y, Z. What is it that you can take? So you don't feel that you're still not contributing, but you could do it offline. I mean, we have emails. So those are conversations I used to have, given them more leave than they should in terms of the policy. So yes, I'm a little bit of a rebel. Don't ask for permission, just apologize if need be, and if it got found out, So yeah, so having gone through you said I not to go. So yes, there has been many of those situations, and I have been empathetic and supportive, and you have to be, Bhavna. As a woman, we understand it and we expect a different level of compassion. But I have to admit that some women in corporate wanting to move up the corporate ladder have no compassion. And they are not as supportive when it comes to providing time off or providing additional support, emotional support, or a listening ear or a caring attitude. Not all of
why do you
them,
think?
but there's
Why do you think that happens?
it is the opportunity to demonstrate how effective they are as executives, the
Mm,
ability to move up the corporate ladder, because emotional baggage is not important to me. It's about the bottom line, it's about profitability more than people. And if you are focused on making money and focused on a career, and that's all you think about, other people's hardships, you are blinded to.
so is that, would you say that that's the way men are and women want to be like men?
Generally, they're not interested in the fact that your kid is sick. They are now, I
Hmm.
must say. There's a change in the narrative and the situation. They are more empathetic, but previously it was you work, produce, profitability is all we care about, and the ones that were going up, the women that were going up the corporate ladder, sort of emulated that. It was not
Hmm.
the natural position, but it worked in their favor to take that stance, because then they go quicker up the corporate ladder and better money, better opportunities. Yeah.
And how do you think it was for would men who were empathetic, were they men?
There were a few men that were empathetic, that gave you a listening ear,
Hmm.
tried to be supportive, but they couldn't be seen to be soft, right?
Really? Hmm.
No, they couldn't be seen to be soft.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yes, they behind closed doors or whatever, there's an element of, oh, I'm sorry, dirty door. But when people are around, it's like it's a different situation. Are you
Hmm.
still there?
I am.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay, great.
Can,
I can hear
yeah.
you now. Yeah.
All right. So I think in my experience, I find that when men choose to be empathetic or compassionate, it is seen as an extra brownie point. It is a better leader. Whereas when women are empathetic and compassionate, it can be a negative against them because women are softies and, women are not hard-nosed business women enough. Of course, many of those things are being challenged now, and I'm so glad for that. I would like for you to look at your own caregiving experience, whether it was for, whichever form of caregiving
Yeah.
that you may have done, and say, what are the gifts that caregiving brought for you?
Oh, there's so many actually. Um, so my mum actually had a bus accident where she broke a leg. She was visiting me and she was traveling down and had like 20 screws in her leg and all of those things. It was quite dramatic actually. And her leg was completely crushed. I'll show you a picture one day. And so yeah, so she couldn't walk and all of those things. And she lived with me for a period of 2 months before she could
Hmm.
actually travel again. The ability, Bhavna, to be there, supporting her, doing everything that I possibly could. it was like a way of saying, thank you for all your sacrifices. It was a difficult time, but it was a rewarding time. I'm sorry.
Don't be.
She went through, it was very, it's, I mean, she went through quite a traumatic phase. And I mean, she still battles with that legs, but it was just being there for her, giving her like, yeah, yeah. So it was traumatic emotionally, physically, and everything for her. But just to be able to bond with her, be with her, do everything for her. And I remember one day, and she told me, so there was a delivery, and she was healing slowly. And my son was little then, and they were able to spend a lot of time together because living 600 k's away, it's not easy for
Mm.
grandparents, grandchild. It was like Rome, my son Rome goes like, he calls him up, Ma, you can do it, Ma, you can do it. You know, it's that motivation and looking and her share and her happiness, despite going through all of that. It was tough, I must be above now. And I think I battle with actually sharing my personal stories because I believe if I don't talk about it, for me, it's like what happened to me or whatever is not important. I'm here and I'm moving forward. It just gives me that extra edge of boost and positivity. So sorry, I had to tear up. the, the point, the point I'm making is it was a hard time for my mom, equally difficult time for me because to balance work and hospitals and doing everything for her and waking up early and doing and making sure and getting help while I couldn't be here and getting a nurse. And, you know, we're just blessed that we are able to do that. Many people can't do it. So just from that reflection point of view, I was very grateful, but just the ability to do those stuff for my mom, because she really sacrificed a whole lot for us to be where we are today. I mean, the gift of a mother's love, right? And the ability to do that and more for her in a way. Did I answer your question, Bhavna? No.
Yes, you did. You did. Yes. See, the point that I'd like to make is that caregiving is not just so in a workplace. Why is this important from a future fit corporate standpoint or a workplace standpoint? Caregiving is a unique experience and it gives us gifts like it gives us competencies and skills and abilities and an insight into ourselves and others that nothing can give.
Absolutely. You've captured it so beautifully, actually.
Right.
It,
So I'm trying to eke out your experience
sure.
of what were the gifts and what did you see that you got skilled more in, that you got better at, given your caregiving experience and uh,
Sure. I get you now. It taught me patience,
hmm,
something that I, I never had before.
hmm,
So it made me, through the process, I had to
hmm,
learn to be patient.
hmm,
I had to listen,
hmm,
but not just listen to the words, but
hmm.
listen to the unspoken words and to be
Yes.
able to provide support. It just made me a better leader just from that experience. You know, often we don't verbalize it
Yeah.
because, like my mom never used to say much, or but you can see from her facial expressions or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah. So yeah. So patience was one thing. The ability to listen was the other.
Hmm.
And the ability to just make like just try and make people feel comfortable and be themselves. And I think those were the gifts that I got out of it that I was able to translate and bring into the corporate spaces.
And what did bringing up a child with special needs teach you?
An asthmatic, my son with asthma, it basically taught me once again um, just patience and unconditional love, and everything is temporary, nothing lasts.
Mm,
And whilst we're there, just make the most of the situation. But what it also taught me, Bhavna, the importance of actually making time and self-care. Because if you don't take care of, if when I didn't take care of myself, not having enough sleep, not being able to do what I needed to do or rest because of, you're literally on 24/7 when your child is ill, especially with asthma.
mm.
Every few hours you have to put the nebulizer or all of
Yes,
those things. It impacts your mental state, your emotional
yes,
well-being, your
yes,
confidence as well, actually. And
yes.
it does have an impact on your and your ability to be a productive, being efficient and effective in the working space. So time out is what you need to do and take.
For
And
sure.
that's what I've learned from that. And therefore I'm a little bit more, not a little bit more, I'm a lot more sympathetic towards people with sick family members.
Yeah, I think asthma, I mean, I refer to asthma as special needs because it is unusual needs in the sense that it requires a certain setup. Obviously, it's not in the classic definition of special needs, the way that we
Sure.
refer to it. But I would think that it requires the parents to be hyper
Alert.
vigilant, yeah,
And
alert.
there's triggers to it. You're
Yeah.
constantly on like on edge. I mean,
Yes.
asthma runs in my family. So my dad's sister died of asthma because she was not close enough to a pump, and she couldn't even
Oh,
get to a pump. So it is,
oh
especially
my
having
God.
that kind of, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so with that as the background, being a parent to a child who has those attention that is required can also require you to skill yourself in a certain way. And I would think that learning to upskill yourself in a variety of things that you didn't think you would have to is also something that many caregivers, many of us have to do. We just, you suddenly one day you discover that, here is a thing that you have to take care of. So, chop chop, let's get to it.
absolutely. But Bhavna, you're making an interesting point. We learn new skills through the way. I mean, I've never thought of it that way until I'm having this conversation with you. That is actually beneficial to self and organizations that you work with subconsciously. Do you
Yes,
know what I'm saying? Because it puts you in a position to go, oh, I understand. Even your conversations, because you've already been through it, you've gained new skills, and you'd be able to impart it in a way to be able to connect with somebody and provide that level of empathy who's to somebody. If somebody has not been through this, they can't have the same level of conversation where they connect, provide
yes.
support, and make the other person feel heard. So you make a beautiful point there, actually. I didn't see it that way.
Hmm. I think
Mm.
being able to pick up new skills is very critical to resilience. Um, you have to quickly learn a new thing. So let's look at the COVID experience. We were all quarantined. We had to quickly learn digital skills. We had to learn to work through a very different things. Those of us who were able to adapt and quickly learn were more resilient.
Absolutely. Can I share something to that on that point? I've never, ever done video calling. I still don't enjoy it or face like these kind of situations until COVID. When
Yes,
we still, it's ridiculous how COVID, although it was a bad situation, it kind of equipped all of us to become better, learn new skills, and be able to connect. If it wasn't for COVID, Bhavna, and starting each one hold one to support women to be able to be the caregivers
yes,
and provide them with a safe space to have these. We used to get together on a Friday afternoon to provide them opportunities and conversations where we understood each other and shared ideas and skills to be able to go into their homes and implement all of that, keeping their well-being a little bit more intact if they didn't have that support. So to your point, we have to create more hubs where it's safe enough for caregivers to get together, to be able to share ideas, share skills, feel safe, vent if need be, because caregiving can be very tough, and sometimes you do need the opportunity to talk, to release that added stress.
So that's a part of the answer to my next question.
Oh,
What do you
it's
think?
okay.
What do you think? What do you think we need to do, we could do, or workplaces could do for caregivers? Now, you are a person who comes with a background in finance and legal, and the guys who are tough, and the people who will challenge you and say, this is the stuff that cannot happen in a workplace, and this can happen in the workplace from a legal standpoint, from a liability standpoint. And then, of course, there are, profitability to be accounted for. So a large number of initiatives can often be scoffed at because, where is the return,
Sure.
right?
You make an interesting point. Yeah, those are conversations that actually happen in the boardroom. But there has been enough stats
Okay.
where organizations, I should have brought it with me, where organization provides employee assistance programs have a higher retention rate of
Right.
employees than those that don't. Because
Mm-hmm.
people are willing, especially the ones that are, let me just be very honest with you. Here in South Africa, if you're non-white, you are more likely to be the caregiver at some stage in your life because we don't put
Yes.
our parents in old age homes or
Mm.
or anything of that sort. I'm talking about our generation, Bhavna. I'm not sure about the younger generation. I think their thinking is very different to us. So I might be in an old age home,
Yeah. Yeah.
or whatever. So our generation, so we don't, right? And we would stay, and people do stay with employees that provide those employee assistance programs, right?
Yeah.
So I could actually lobby and justify as to why they should have it. And I think with the younger generation as well, if the assistance EAA program, employee assistance program, is meaningful enough, they're more likely to stay than
Mm-hmm.
run after money because money can only get you that far. Do you know
Right.
what I'm saying? If you feel heard, if you feel safe, if you feel like you've been taken care of, you're more likely. And there's been stats to that effect. And I think the current employee assistance program includes, as I said, some financial support, some added days of leave, counseling in terms of psychologists or social workers or whatever you actually need, mental health, depression. So you can actually have access to all of those things. What I think we should do can add to that, as we were speaking about the groups that we used to host on a Friday at Each One Hold One, at corporates to go an hour or an hour and a half on a Friday or once a month, where people are providing care to get together, to just have conversations, connect, share ideas, opportunities, referrals, and things could actually happen. What you find though, and Bhavna, I know you're a touchy-feely, caring individual, when there's human connection, there's added level of like happiness. There's love. There's an ability to engage and go, yes, I was going through that. Thank you for listening. In the absence of that, you feel very isolated and alone. So we can start that in corporates,
Mm.
create those platforms and add it into the policy. But more than that, you run an NPO and so do I.
Mm.
We should actually make that a regular feature as well and create more hubs, not
Mm.
just in India and South Africa, but all across the globe. If we can start, we can actually be able to do
Mm.
that. Um, I know, and I have, are very good at persuasive and influencing as to why that's a good idea. Because, I mean, as a
Mm.
good corporate citizen, you want to be seen as somebody that's championing and advocating for human well-being.
Mm.
It's well-being. And
Mm.
having a program that's meaningful and impactful will actually assist that. You know what I'm going to do, Bhavna? I haven't thought about it until this conversation. Maybe a policy document to change the narrative here in South Africa. Instead of being voluntary, make it compulsory. And I'm going to thank you for that.
Well, If that's the impact we can have, why not? I would look forward to that. And perhaps we could look at if you were in charge of the law of your land
Hmm.
and you were to provide some provisions for
Hmm.
family caregivers, what do you think the law can do? So look at law, not just for individuals, but look at corporate law as well.
Well, currently, as I indicated, the assistant programs are voluntarily. So there
Yes.
is no legislation compelling
Mm.
corporates to provide that. I need to apply my mind to it to see the impacts
Hmm.
and do some research on that as to how best to introduce it or influence it. Because
Right.
the current state of situation that we have in South Africa, not sure whether you're aware of it, um, there is an issue with regards to the number of people that are actually employed, the unemployment rate. Okay, the
Yeah.
stat says it's around 30, but the reality is it's around 50 of
Yeah, it's
people that
really
can
high.
work that don't have work. So I'm not going to be naive and silly to go, okay, this is what we need to do. I need to go look at the impact and just incremental changes that
Mm.
will have it. In
Mm.
terms of caregiving from a financial perspective, I am aware when people are the older folks, if somebody's taking care of them, it's not a lot of money, but there is some assistance of, I think it's about 500 Rand
Hmm.
that is provided to the caregiver that's looking
Hmm.
after older people. So there is some sort of incentive
Oh, it's
that's
it's
provided,
it's a government
subsidy,
welfare.
a grant. It's like a
Yeah.
government grant. So if
Oh,
you take
nice.
care of older parents or whoever takes care, obviously it's paid to the parents, the pensioner, the old age person,
Mm-hmm.
for the benefit of whoever's taking care of them. So I think it's a progressive in comparison to other countries.
I like the
Um,
fact that it is paid to the older adult, and they in turn can give it to the person that they think is caring for them,
sure, sure, yeah. So, so,
because
so,
that
so
I think makes it easier.
sure. And what is important is the ability to have to have conversations where you don't feel in corporate that caregiving is a liability to the business.
For sure.
You know,
That's the challenge. So you see the
yeah,
smaller businesses, if you see in the beginning of our conversation, we said that the smaller businesses are not able to provide the employee assistance programs. They're also, I think, wary, at least in India, are wary of hiring young women because, maternity benefits can be a big impact on the costs. And therefore, entrepreneurs could tend to find ways of not necessarily actively hiring young women. Um, and
it's,
so it works as a detriment. Now, a government body that is looking at all companies or across the industry could have provisions that incentivize organizations to hire women or compensate for the cost of maternity should organizations have it. One of the propositions that I had read was that the government could provide for certain exemptions or subsidizing the maternity cost if an organization were to report that we have so many women who are on maternity leave or we are providing this daycare facility and or any other benefits and they get tax exemptions, so that makes it uh, easier on the organization, and it doesn't restrict it only to that organization to provide. It just becomes a social umbrella.
yeah. You make a very, very, very good point, actually. Um, Tax benefits will help. Here in South Africa, so some employers actually pay people whilst they're on maternity leave, some don't. And
Hmm.
we have something as UIF, Unemployment Insurance Fund. So if you do not get benefits from the employer, then you can go and claim it. So there's
Hmm.
already a government benefit. However, to your point, it does not um, prevent it doesn't prevent the discrimination issue where younger women are likely to be mothers and therefore off work for 4 or 6 months and will
Yeah.
impact productivity. So yeah, so there's the tax incentive is one thing, but the productivity lag still has an impact um, on
Yes.
the leaders in those organizations. Yeah. So yeah. So
Yes, and
it's
which
hard
is
being
why
a
I would think
woman.
Which
It's
is
hard
why I would
being.
think, yeah, which is why I would think that organizations would, would be wary of, hiring women because, especially smaller organizations, startups, because, you are fighting so hard to be profitable and you're fighting so hard for your own existence that you cannot tend to,
Yeah.
provide for some of these benefits. Um, I would like, Charmaine, to have, to pick your brains also on what is it that perhaps leaders can do across organizations. So think about it from I wonder if there's something called corporate social responsibility or uh, ESG, which is some of these initiatives that are aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. Do you think that there is a possibility of organizations coming together, like in, industry bodies? And what is it that
Mhm.
industry bodies can do in addition to what the government and the law can do?
I think there's always opportunities for that. And we do have women networks
Hmm.
that come together and lobby for the women related agendas and also be able to be the voices for many of
Hmm.
the women out there. So, yes, I think there's an opportunity for that. There are a lot of little organizations doing it. And I think it would
Hmm.
actually help, to your point, having an amalgamation of all the little organizations so you
Hmm.
actually have a bigger footprint and you can
Hmm.
actually have better resources to be able to fight the causes that need to be fought, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes. I think
Definitely space for that.
Yes, and I think maybe what some of us need to do is be able to think this through and see if we can try some experiments. Um, and finally, what I would like to say is that for sure, it is today a women's issue.
Caregiving, right?
Yeah, but I would love for it to not be.
Yes. I think in order for it not to be, we have to normalize the conversations with everybody. And the point I'm actually making is we need to have more of these conversations. We need to actually have more role plays. We need to be in the faces of everybody where they can sit back and go, oh, she has a point there. What am I doing that's not being supportive of this particular woman or women in general? How am I sabotaging them? Um, and where can I actually lend support? It's create this environment where information is available that allows all of us, every single human, to go back and self-assess and be self-critical to see how can we individually, I mean, individual, if we do it individually, we'll have a collective or be able to mobilize this whole change that we want to see in the world, but we need to be the catalyst for those changes. I don't know how we actually do it. Not really. I am a creative. Do you know who's a really good creative? Kabashni. If she can create the visuals or help us through this, I'm sure we can. When I say visuals, it's about being in spaces and places and creating the narratives where people go, what is that about? Create that curiosity that gets people thinking and gets them to change their way or influence change within. So I think that's what needs to happen. Because
For
if we're
sure.
silent,
Yeah,
nobody,
for sure.
nothing happens. You need to be radical like you usually are, Bhavna.
For sure. And I'm just wondering, how old is your son?
My son is actually 32 now,
It's a,
so
it's a
he's a big
grown-up man.
man. Yeah, yeah.
And what would you like, would you have liked for him to have learned in school or his education years, for him to take more responsibility for unpaid care?
Oh, oh, such a powerful question because it just dawned on me that this is not a conversation, a topic that even happens in schools.
Yes.
But they have in South Africa, we have something as called life orientation. And it would be
Mm,
such a it's best suited to be able to incorporate this. Um, Bhavna, my son has been through a lot personally,
mhm,
seeing seeing his granddad, seeing his dad's mom,
mm,
and a few family members go through
mm,
hardship and how the support was provided. I think through the observation and through the doing, because he's been part of the doing,
mm,
it's actually made him more empathetic and
mm,
more caring. And
mm,
sometimes he asks his dad and I to pause and listen to what we're saying. So
mm,
he's a very aware kid.
mm.
And I think experiences and doing has helped made him that. So I'm comfortable that even though I started off saying I may be in the old age home, um, it's unlikely that I'll be there. Have I made
Yes,
my point though?
partly. I think that there is for sure a lot of learning that we get simply by being in the kind of families that we are. But
Yeah.
increasingly around the world, we are distributed families, we are nuclear families, and my daughter, for example, will find it very difficult to share her things, her room. Whereas when I grew up, there was a far more community. We were people with lesser means. Also, we were many more people in one house, and therefore, it was just different. And now we have so many just single children, and what they will learn, how they will process it, will be different. What I'd like for you to also think about and share with me is, what do you think could be the role of, now increasingly we are having people that are living much longer than ever before, right? And in India, we have a retirement age at 60.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a retirement age?
It varies here in South Africa. So it depends on the corporates. It's different age groups. And I think when you work in government, I think
Hmm.
it's 60 or
Hmm.
65.
Hmm.
Previously, we
Hmm.
had different retirement age for women and men, but now that
Oh,
has
wow.
changed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So even if you retire at 65,
Mm-hmm.
65 is hardly, an age at which you're not productive, or you cannot
Yeah.
contribute. It's not the same as 10 years ago. So what do you think people who have retired technically
Uh-huh.
could do with organizations or society to support caregivers at workplaces or in society?
Oh, there's a lot to be done. I often ask as to whether people are willing to provide that voluntary service because my experience, Bhavna, is that relationships here in particular is very transactional. It's
Right,
what can I get out of it?
right.
So the gifts that you and I mentioned, spoke about, is not really appreciated. And
Yes,
the gift that's more appreciated is money.
yes,
So the point I'm making is people can do a lot and provide a lot to NGOs and even the skills that they've learned in corporates or whichever jobs they've been in. But I don't see the willingness to do so until there's money involved in it. And as you know, most NGOs and NPOs can't really get more employees. The desire is to have more volunteers.
yes,
So I think there's a lot that can be done. The reality is not everybody is willing to be able to be part of that community where you are wanting to provide your intellect, your hands, your heart, your learnings to the extent that we would like in order to
I
provide
would think,
support your caregivers.
yeah, so I
But
would think it would then go back to your specialty of law to
mhm,
say, how can the legal system and how can the financial system incentivize volunteering, not just for the retired folk, Because it's difficult to start volunteering at a certain age if you don't have that
Mm-hmm.
view early on.
Mm-hmm.
So, how is it that we could link educational institutions, workplaces, and society in incentive programs and law that encourages volunteering, caring, caregiving, and holding each one?
Oh my God, clearly you've spent so much time, and this is really on top of mind for you caregiving. Now, clearly you have done it, I know it, and you've had impact. And you make such a beautiful point that I haven't actually applied myself to it. Because as you spoke about finance, legal, and how it is that we could incentivize people, I mean, our unemployment rate is ridiculously high, right? This is an opportunity structured well. And if we can get funding in terms of legislation where a percentage of profits or something, there are some systems in place, but not solely for volunteering for caregiving and that like your corporate social responsibility. This could possibly be an opportunity in there if positioned and the policies written to come. Oh, you've ignited something that I have not even considered. So yes, it is possible, and it will benefit a lot of people in our country. And it could also potentially, even though it's volunteering, but incentivized in terms of finance, it will help a lot of families as well in terms of having a sense of purpose, providing value, creating self-worth, being able to put food on the table for most people don't have any source of income. Wow, that was quite powerful actually. Thank you. Yeah. I've made
So,
some notes to
I
explore it.
I have some so
I
I'm
do.
I'm very grateful that I can have this conversation with you and that you're excited. And I think what I'd like to be able to do is work with you separately so that we can put together a program that we can see. I have some more thoughts on that, and we can for sure see how we can influence.
Oh, I would love that because this
Yeah,
speaks to my whole desire to make our world a better place, right? And this
yeah,
is a
for sure.
project, an opportunity to do so. And I'd
And
love to spend more time with you, Bhavna. Your energy is incredible. Your insights are incredible. And what you do is incredible. So, yeah, thank you.
and finally, I would say that we are living in the world of technology. How do you think, my final
And you
question
know
for
why
you,
I'm laughing?
well, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're not a technology friendly person. Um, okay, how do you think? So I want you to take a moment and fantasize about technology enabling caregivers. If you had magical technology that would make things easy for you as a caregiver, what would that look like?
A portal where I spoke about self-care, right?
Hmm.
To go, I need to take 2 hours off or 3 hours off. Who in my area is available to step in and help me? Uh, like, like a portal where people could go, da, 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 I'm available. I need 2 hours. Can somebody help me? Or somebody's going through a difficult time and need a companion or need somebody to be able to do it. Obviously, there's risk issues like they need to be vetted, can be allowed into their house and all. But I think that would make life easier because people are truly lonely and don't know where to turn to, especially with these living in separate towns and cities. And yeah, that would help. And also, I mean, I learned this during COVID that technology and conversations like this can be gratifying, fulfilling, and also a form of therapy that people may not have access to. Yeah, I would like that portal above now if we can actually sort that out. And I mean, this is already happening anyway. I'm sorry I don't have great ideas where that's concerned, but I'll look at it. And when we have our offline conversations, we can actually delve more into it.
So I'm going to invite you to have a look at our website and see that such a portal exists.
Oh, no, I haven't been on your website. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So
Okay.
it exists in India, right? For all of you.
Yes. Not well, well,
Oh,
it it exists in part, and I will
mhm.
be more than delighted if more people want to use it.
Oh, let me just get the spread the word out there. So if we want to not if when we want to have it here in South Africa, can we put information on your portal and then we could act? Oh my God, that's fascinating. Okay, I'm going to go into your website and look at it. You see, just conversations opens your mind, plants some seeds of possibilities that we can actually advance. But more importantly, get you to realize there's tools out there to make one's lives easier that we
Yeah.
don't know about. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Well, how can I thank you enough? I have loved this conversation. I have loved having you as a friend, and I'm so grateful, and I'm looking forward to many more conversations we will have. I'd just like for you to reflect on what this hour has meant for you.
Oh, this hour for me has been beautiful, so reflective. It made me think about things that I blocked out for a while. It's given me a sense of renewed energy to go and look at how I can make an impact in the caregiving corporate space because everyday challenges and everyday issues tend to take up a lot of our time and energy.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Bhavna, I've parked this.
Yeah.
It's not been front of mind, and you
Yeah.
brought it there. So I'm grateful. I love you as an individual. I think you're such a phenomenal woman. And I've told you this many a times. It was useful to know that I played a small little part
Oh my
in getting
God.
you out to be as amazing as you are on screen and the messages that you land. Yeah. And I would love to tell people that don't know you here in South Africa, Bhavna breaks broke the glass ceiling ages ago. She's a biker, has done these incredible tours, and you wouldn't think that, would you? So yes, thank you for being you, and thank you for landing your uniqueness, and thank you for spreading joy, and thank you for caring as much as you do. I love you,
Thank you. I love you too.
and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you, and have a good evening.
Yes. 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 To you. And I am certain people will love this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of Future Fit Corporates. If today's conversation resonated with you, don't let it end here. Join the Future Fit Corporates Club or the FFC Club. Explore our full dossier and discover powerful blogs from our past speakers. Let's move beyond inclusion as a buzzword. Let's make diverse experiences, especially experiences of caring for others, caregiving, a leadership strength. Together, we can truly build not just a caring world, but future fit workplaces. Until next time, take care and let's keep the conversation on.